Good evening, Chavra. Today is and was the 12th of Nissan. And we didn't have a chance this morning, so we're now doing the Tanya Shir. We're on page 79 in your Chayenu. In today's lesson, studying Torah or prayer done with ulterior motives. For example, ego. This is an old joke. Guy standing in front of the shul and he's davening and he's swinging his arms and he's so much kavana and he made a big show out of it. And the little kids in shul were like, he's such a faker. Levi, you heard this story? So the kids would take a stick and they would poke him with it. And he didn't react, which means his head was like in a different world. They were like, wow. They did it a second time. Garnish, no response. The third time, they gave him such a poke with a sharp edge, and he went, aye! And they go, aha! You're not really having proper kavanah. And he goes, but I didn't feel it the first two times. So if a person's doing, having kavanah, or studying Torah or prayer, and doing it for ego reasons, how does he fix it? It's rectified through tshuva, in order to transform the negative energy. At least he davened, and he could transform that. All he has to do is fix the ego, and then his davening was already accomplished. He just has to fix it. However, if it was merely by rote, but not infused with negative energy, and it is rectified, then it is rectified when done, meaning repeated correctly. So if he did it, actually got to brag, or he learned Torah and he did it for ulterior motives. But if he did it by rote, which means he didn't have any kavanah and he just did it like half asleep, he would have to repeat it. Exactly. It's very interesting because the second, and we talked about it, there's a chiddush, a deeper inyan also, right? That before Matan Torah, if you were a Rasha, we don't want to have any part of you. After Matan Torah, it's too late. We all said Nasa v'nishma. You messed up. We're all in the same boat. We got to fix it. Okay. So, if a person engages in divine service, not for the sake of heaven, for an ulterior motive, for self-glorification, for his own personal covet. Wow, look how much he knows. He can say, he can chazer, he knows the answer to all the shilas. I'm telling you, one person would say, he once told us, I'm not going to get specific, he's like, you see all these svarim? You can test me on any one of them. I know them all by heart. Who talks like that? It was a turnoff. You go in Liyas Talmud Chacham Machai Gavna. If a person wants to say, look at me, I'm a big Talmud Chacham. I'm a Gadol B'Doyer. That's not right. You learn for the sake of heaven. Azai Oise P'niyah Shemitzad HaKlipa Denoiga Mislabeshes B'Terasi. Then this motive, which is derived from Klipas Nega, clothes itself in his Torah. Okay. It can be fixed. Right now, it's for the wrong reasons. Why? At this time, Torah is in a state of exile in the Klipa, the Fisha, but it's only temporary. Dasha Yasa Tshuva. Once a person does Tshuva, Shemei before La'ilam. Once he does Tshuva, it will bring healing through the entire world, including what he did. Shabeshuva El Hashem Gam Torah Shava Imar. When he returns to Hashem, his Torah that he learned will also return. Therefore, our sages have said that Taka, do it, even if you end up doing it for selfish reasons. If you learn for the wrong reasons, ultimately you'll be able to turn it around. But at least you learned. Now you have the knowledge. A person will end up doing tshuva, whether in this life or in another incarnation. Because no one banishes from him by his sins will remain banished. Well, ultimately, a person will ultimately do tshuva. Now, hold that thought. Do me a favor, hold the thought, because it's being recorded. They can't hear your question. But what if a person doesn't a person doesn't do it, whether it's for the sake of heaven or for his own personal self-gratification or ego? There's nothing to work with. There's no handles. Ella miyad shechoyzer v'loymeid davar zeh lishma. Haregam ma shalom b'stam mischaber mistaref l'loymeid zeh upachal. So what he has to do is review it again, learn it again. It's like eating the matzah without leaning. You gotta eat it again. Then when he eats it, maybe he gets schar for the first time around. It's the bread of healing, the bread of faith. Since no klipas noiga yet clothed itself in his previous study. It's very interesting. Because just because he didn't lean, what we're talking about before was when you drink the 4 cups of wine, you have to lean. When you eat the matzah, you have to lean. When you eat the hillel sandwich, you have to lean. When you eat the fukayman, you have to lean. But only if he didn't lean by the actual moitzi matzah does he have to repeat. The other 2 he doesn't necessarily have to, and only by the 2nd cup. But it doesn't mean he didn't have kavanah. But there's a little bit of a. It means he wasn't thinking, he wasn't concentrating. Because if he wasn't concentrating, he would remember that you have to lean. Okay, it's a little bit of a stretch, but anyway. Therefore, it says a man should always occupy himself with Torah, whether he's doing it lishma, or whether he's doing it for selfish reasons, or whether he's doing it for no reason. He can always go back and fix it. The same is true of our prayer without kavanah, as discussed. It's always good to study Torah and daven, even if our motives are not the best. But remember, the greater your motivation, the greater your effect. Thank you.